Life path number 9 is the final step in the cycle of classical numerology, the number of completion, culmination, and transcendence. It is the number that carries within it the wisdom of all the other paths that came before, distilling their lessons into a singular force of compassion, vision, and higher purpose. To walk the life path of 9 is to walk with the awareness that you are not placed upon this earth merely to build for yourself, but to serve something larger, to embody love in its highest form, and to reflect back to humanity the divine truth it has forgotten. When we speak of the 9, we speak of a soul that has been through lifetimes of struggle and triumph, that has tasted both the sweetness of joy and the bitterness of loss, and now stands as a torchbearer for those who still wander in the shadows. This path is not always easy, for it requires sacrifice, forgiveness, and the surrendering of ego. But in return, it grants the 9 a depth of soul unlike any other.
At first glance, those who embody the life path number 9 often feel different from others. There is a quiet knowing in their eyes, a sense that they have seen beyond the veil of ordinary life. Many 9s carry an old soul energy, as though they are not entirely of this time or place, but are instead visitors who have come to help guide humanity toward its higher destiny. They are dreamers, artists, humanitarians, and healers, though the roles they take on in the world can vary widely. What unites them is not the form of their work, but the spirit of it. Whether a 9 is a painter, a teacher, a leader, or a mystic, their energy is directed toward uplifting, healing, or awakening others. Their lives are often touched by themes of service and sacrifice, and they are most fulfilled when they are contributing to the collective good, rather than pursuing selfish gain.
To be a 9 is to carry an enormous heart, one that can feel the suffering of the world as though it were their own. This deep sensitivity often awakens early in life, as many 9s experience hardships or losses that open them to the impermanence of things. Yet instead of becoming hardened, the 9 is asked to become softened, to turn their pain into compassion and their sorrow into wisdom. There is an alchemical quality to this path, as if the soul of the 9 is a crucible in which the raw lead of human suffering is transformed into the gold of unconditional love. It is no coincidence that many spiritual leaders, artists, and visionaries throughout history have carried the vibration of 9, for it is the number most attuned to the universal pulse of empathy and understanding.
The strengths of the 9 are many, but perhaps their greatest gift is their ability to see the bigger picture. While others may become entangled in petty conflicts or short-sighted goals, the 9 naturally thinks on a larger scale, considering the well-being of all rather than the desires of the few. They are idealists at heart, often holding a vision of a better world that drives them forward even when circumstances seem bleak. This idealism, however, is not naive. It is rooted in a profound spiritual knowing that love and truth are the real forces that shape the cosmos, and that every act of compassion ripples outward, altering the fabric of reality itself. The 9 carries this vision like a seed within their being, and their task is to plant it wherever they go, whether in small acts of kindness or in great works that touch the lives of many.
Yet with such gifts come challenges. The very sensitivity that allows the 9 to feel so deeply can also weigh heavily upon them. They may struggle with emotional boundaries, absorbing the pain of others until it becomes overwhelming. At times they may feel burdened by the suffering of the world, carrying it like a cloak around their shoulders, unsure of how to set it down. There can also be a tendency toward martyrdom, as 9s may sacrifice too much of themselves, neglecting their own needs in the name of service. If they are not careful, they may fall into patterns of resentment or exhaustion, forgetting that true compassion does not mean self-destruction. The 9 must learn the delicate balance between giving to others and honoring their own soul's well-being, for only then can their love remain pure and sustainable.
Another challenge for the 9 lies in the realm of endings. Because the number represents completion, those who walk this path often experience cycles of letting go. Relationships, careers, and even entire phases of life may end abruptly for a 9, pushing them again and again towards surrender. These endings are not punishments, but initiations, designed to teach the 9 how to release with grace and trust in the unfolding of divine order. While others may cling to the past, the 9 is asked to live in the flow of impermanence, to embrace the truth that nothing in this world is permanent, except the love that we carry in our hearts. This lesson can be painful, but it is also profoundly liberating, for it frees the 9 from attachments that no longer serve their soul's growth.
In relationships, 9s are tender and giving partners, often willing to go to great lengths to support those they love. They are romantic in a deep and soulful way, seeking not just companionship, but true spiritual connection. Their love is expansive, capable of encompassing not only their partner, but humanity itself. And this can sometimes create difficulties. A 9 may love so widely that their partner feels overlooked, or they may struggle to balance the universal love they feel with the intimate love their relationships require. Trust and communication are essential, for the 9 must learn that loving humanity does not mean neglecting the individual. When balanced, however, the 9's relationships can be profoundly beautiful, marked by depth, loyalty, and a sense of shared purpose. They are capable of inspiring their partners to grow, to dream, and to step into higher versions of themselves simply through the radiance of their presence.
The weaknesses of the 9 often mirror their strengths. Their idealism, while inspiring, can also lead to disillusionment when the world fails to meet to their high vision. They may struggle with cynicism or despair, feeling that their efforts are futile in the face of so much suffering and injustice. Some 9s may retreat into isolation, numbing their sensitivity to escape the pain they feel, while others may lash out in frustration when their dreams do not materialize. The 9's path therefore requires a constant renewal of faith, not blind faith, but the faith that even the smallest act of love contributes to the greater whole. By remembering that their purpose is not to fix the entire world, but to offer what they can with sincerity and devotion, 9s find the strength to continue their work without becoming consumed by bitterness or exhaustion.
Spiritually, the 9 is called to embody the principle of divine love. Unlike earlier life paths which focus on personal growth, building, or mastering specific qualities, the 9 has already traveled through those lessons in previous incarnations. Now their soul is asked to integrate it all and to live as an example of what it means to serve the collective good. This does not necessarily mean becoming a monk, a priest, or a saint. It can be as simple as living authentically, expressing one's gifts with integrity, and choosing compassion over judgment in everyday life. The 9's spiritual power lies not in dramatic displays, but in the quiet, steady embodiment of love, forgiveness, and wisdom. By living this way, they radiate an energy that uplifts those around them, often without even realizing it.
One of the 9's great lessons is forgiveness. Because they feel so deeply, 9s may struggle to let go of wounds from the past. They may carry old sorrows, betrayals, or regrets like scars upon their soul. Yet the true liberation of the 9 comes when they learn to forgive, not only others, but themselves. Forgiveness for the 9 is not about condoning what has happened, but about freeing themselves from the chains of bitterness that keep them tethered to pain. In learning to forgive, they reclaim their energy, allowing their love to flow unimpeded once more. This is one of the most profound transformations the 9 can undergo, and it often marks the shift from living in sorrow to living in joy. Throughout their journey, nines are also asked to trust their intuition. Being attuned to the universal field of energy, they often receive insights and inspirations that feel larger than themselves. These flashes of knowing may come through dreams, synchronicities, or sudden bursts of vision. At times, they may doubt themselves, dismissing these moments as fantasy, but the nine's intuition is one of their greatest tools. By learning to listen to that quiet voice within, they align themselves with the greater wisdom of the universe, allowing their life to unfold with grace and meaning.
In the larger arc of soul evolution, the 9 represents the completion of a cycle. It is the number that gathers the wisdom of the paths 1 through 8 and prepares the soul for transcendence into higher levels of consciousness. For those on this path, life often feels like both an ending and a beginning, a preparation for something beyond this physical existence. This does not mean that 9s cannot enjoy material success or worldly joys. They can, and many do. But at the core of their being, there is always a pull toward the eternal, a yearning for what lies beyond the veil. They are pilgrims of the infinite, carrying lanterns lit by compassion, walking not only for themselves, but for all of humanity. The imagery that surrounds the 9 is rich with symbolism. It is the final digit, standing at the threshold between the finite and the infinite. In many traditions, 9 represents completion, wholeness, and the gateway to higher realms. In Norse mythology, there are 9 worlds connected by the great tree Yggdrasil. In Hinduism, the goddess Durga is worshipped in 9 forms during Navaratri. In Christianity, there are 9 choirs of angels. Again and again, across cultures and religions, 9 appears as a sacred number, pointing toward culmination and transcendence. For those born under this life path, these symbols resonate deeply, for they too are called to embody this archetype of the bridge between worlds. As the journey of the 9 unfolds, they come to understand that their life is less about personal gain and more about leaving a legacy of love, whether through art, teaching, healing, or simple acts of kindness. The 9's influence lingers long after they have moved on. Their lives often touch countless others, sometimes in ways they may never fully realize. The true measure of the 9 is found not in wealth or status, but in the invisible ripple effect of their compassion. Like a stone dropped into a still pond, their actions radiate outward, touching shores they may never see. This is the quiet power of the 9, the eternal echo of love that continues long after their voice has faded.
And so, to walk the life path of 9 is to live as both a student and a teacher. It is to carry the scars of many lives and to transform them into wisdom. It is to love deeply, sometimes painfully, but always expansively. It is to see the suffering of the world and yet choose to believe in its beauty. It is to give of oneself, not for recognition or reward, but because it is simply who you are. The 9 is the humanitarian, the artist, the mystic, the dreamer, and above all, the lover of humanity.
Now, let us reflect on the essence of the 9. It is the number that calls us to rise above the smallness of self and to step into the vastness of universal love. It asks us to remember that we are all connected, that every act of kindness matters, and that every ending holds within it the seed of a new beginning. To be a 9 is to stand at the edge of the cycle, gazing out into the mystery beyond, with a heart wide open and a spirit ready to serve. It is to embody the truth that love is not just an emotion, but the very fabric of existence, the force that binds us all together.
If you are a life path number 9, know that your journey is not always easy, but it is profoundly meaningful. You are here to remind humanity of its higher calling, to shine light in places of darkness, and to leave behind a legacy of love that endures beyond time. Trust in your vision, nurture your heart, and never forget that even in your moments of doubt, you are carrying out the sacred work of the 9. Your path is one of completion, but also of beginning, for in the great wheel of life, every ending is but the threshold of eternity.